This episode is brought to you in association with Timeform, your trusted source for racing data and analysis. By Total Performance Data, the world leader in thoroughbred performance technology, and by Fitzdares. It is Thursday, the 19th of June. It is Gold Cup Day. It is even warmer. And as the mercury rises, so does the Nick Luck Daily Podcast. Up with the lark, as always, and delighted that Charlotte is with me this morning. I don't think we've done this before, have we?
We never have. I think we've spoken on the phone during a podcast, but I've certainly never done it face to face and never been your sole guest. So a bit of pressure on today.
Charlotte likes to keep me at arm's length, but has really been the kind of engine that has driven this podcast since 2021. Well, probably longer than you care to remember.
Yeah, I always think back. Is it coming up to a 5-year or a 4-year? I'm not sure.
You fixed me with a very steely gaze when you said that. But listen, everyone, all of you, should be very grateful that Charlotte is such a key part of this team. And not only that, was a brilliant rider and is now a brilliant race reader, which is why you can tell me how good Ombudsman was yesterday in the Prince of Wales Stakes here at Ascot.
Well, look, visually he was very impressive. William Buick took his time on him, but the race was run to suit those that were dropped out, and obviously the two Ballydoyle horses went off very quickly in front and too quickly. We'll hear a little bit more about that later on from our friends at TPD, but the way that he quickened in the sort of from the 2.5 to the line, I thought was really impressive. And as much as he showed loads of speed, and we always like to ask questions after the race, is he going to stay further? Well, on that performance he definitely looks like he would, but why would you? There's absolutely no need. He had a great turn of foot. It obviously meant an awful lot to William Buick. You saw his reaction after the line.
What do you think the reaction was? Do you think it was just the prestige of the race? Do you think it was the Gosden connection? Or do you think it's because he knew the horse had dug him out of an almighty hole?
Well, I mean, had the horse dug him out of an almighty hole? In terms of what? In terms of you think he was too far back? Or do you think
No, I don't mean that. I don't mean that he gave him a bad ride, but that it was just traffic, and he got out of jail and bang, and it was a brilliant, exhilarating finish.
Yeah, potentially, but I think also we've heard how tough a week this has been for Godolphin over the last few years.
Okay, yeah.
And I think it was on ITV and someone said, has it been 3 years since Charlie Appleby's had a winner here?
Since 22, yeah.
So I think the fact that you've taken one of the main races of the week, you've done it in that fashion, it's probably an awful lot of relief.
Okay, so you reckon it was just explosion of relief because of the colours he was wearing rather than anything else?
That's my guess. But also, it was a great performance and he looks a really exciting horse going forward. I mean, how impressed were you?
Very impressed. I mean, I liked See the Fire. I thought she ran a great race en route to the Nassau. I didn't fancy Los Angeles. Bet of the century yesterday for Matt, but in fairness to Matt, he did tip 3 really good winners, so he was getting pelters for saying Los Angeles was the bet of the century. He tipped 3 more winners than me yesterday, so fair play to him. But Los Angeles is one of those, isn't it? When you try and make a slower horse go quite fast in a race shy of its optimum distance, that will only work in certain circumstances. When the ground is slick like this, he's just going to look like a bit of a snail.
Yeah, you're just taking him out of his comfort zone from moment one. He was flat out. I mean, the fact that I think they said he went quicker than the filly that won the first ever went in the race. He was at 41 miles an hour is just absolutely ludicrous, and he was never going to be able to maintain that. And actually, I'm not sure if they did him a sort of an injustice of thinking they had to go that quick for him to win. He was very good in Ireland. He was very tough, and I get that you want to get the ball rolling early, but I don't think they needed to put that much pressure on him, because I still think he is a really good horse and he didn't need to go out and do that.
All right, well, how good a horse is Ombudsman? We're going to hear from Adam Mills from Total Performance Data in a minute. Let's hear from John Gosden first. This was him speaking with ITV yesterday.
The plan was to just relax off the pace, which was strong, set up for Los Angeles. He's a real dour, long-striding, staying horse. And to that extent, we knew we'd be comfortable where we were. We had a lovely French horse and James Doyle outside us. It's just a question, we get the straight, whether you get the luck. And he wasn't in a position where he could swing round the field. It was more an occasion of waiting for the gaps. And he was very patient, and he thought, but I knew when he got a gap at the furlong pole, this horse has an extraordinary turn of foot. So he was patient and he was rewarded, but there's nothing like when you've got those fractions to run at. It gives you a chance to just run them down in the end.
All right, that was John Gosden. I mean, the interesting thing is that the previous day he was talking about Field of Gold maybe going for the Juddmonte International. Now he's got his ready-made Juddmonte International horse. Field of Gold will end up staying a mile when he ran in the Jacques de Marois, maybe the Sussex.
Exactly. I thought it was interesting yesterday when Barry Mann was interviewed on ITV, and he said, oh, you know, we'll be giving him a break, probably make the final decision early next week, but it does sound as though he's going to have a break now, miss the Eclipse. But then the fact that he raised the possibility of the Marois, I thought, okay, well that's the option of going up to a mile and a quarter surely out the window.
For the time being. Yeah.
I would have thought so. I'm sure the owner will be pushing to run him, but John Gosden will be doing his best. I would be surprised if not, to keep them apart.
All right, well, let's talk about the dimensions of the race again. Charlotte's touched on this already, the speed that the Coolmore duo went off, Continuous and Los Angeles. And for more on that, here's Adam Mills from Total Performance Data.
Did the Ballydoyle boys go too hard in the Prince of Wales' Stakes? Almost certainly yes. Fastest winning time since the Fugue in 2014. Continuous did his job. He's been employed as a pacemaker, but he did it far too well. Opening furlongs of 13.24, 11.04 and 12.22. He got to the 4 furlong pole over 2 seconds quicker than Ombudsman, and they simply had nothing left. Los Angeles recorded a top speed of 42.59 miles an hour. That's faster than both True Love and Crimson Advocate, who won races over shorter. Jim Crowley must have thought that he had this race won with Amnut, got his horse to peak at the right time, the fastest penultimate furlong in 11.91 seconds. Peak stride frequency average of 2.36 at that point. Amnat kicks for home, but he can't maintain it. Drops down to 2.28 average stride frequency in the final furlong. He's got nothing left when Ombudsman comes running at him. This was a really good ride in a race run at a frantic pace, but we have to bear in mind that Ombudsman was winning this on his own merits. He was the fastest horse in 3 of the last 5 furlongs, and he recorded the best run-out speed in the field. It'll be interesting to see where he goes next, but I'm sure the Ballydoyle boys would like another go at this race.
So that's how the race shaped up with Adam Mills. But what sort of performance figure would you put on this? Here's Timeform's flat editor, David Johnson.
Patience has sort of been the hallmark of Ombudsman's career so far. He delayed his career as a 3-year-old and only now reaching his peak as a 4-year-old. And I think he's going to get a rating in the mid to high 120s, which puts him right up with the very best middle distance performers to have run this year. And I'd imagine we'll see him in races like the Juddmonte International and also the Irish Champion Stakes. They'll come out on the agenda. They tend to pick themselves for a horse like him.
Well, what a week. An amazing week for the Gosdens, whichever way you slice it. David Johnson there from Timeform. And of course, they could have more success today, more of which in a moment with Trawlerman or Sweet William or whoever. Crimson Advocate was a bit of a surprise package. Result for us, right? This is one for us.
It is.
Can we have this?
I think we can. James McDonald is a very much regular on our show. He's always very accommodating to us, always gives us great content. We've heard a lot about him over the last few months when he's been riding Romantic Warrior, and it's always nice to see him over here. And actually, he gave her an absolute peach yesterday.
He did. He pitched it, didn't he? He pitched his services, and then Richard Brown rang us and said, "Can I have his number?" Yeah.
Well, as you revealed on the Ascot preview last week from Newsells. So first one to get that news in, and it's worked out for them.
It really has. I thought he gave her a peach of a ride. It was typical him. He never goes for horses too well. Apart from Romantic Warrior in Saudi, he never goes for horses too soon. He always, bides his time and is super patient.
And it suited her because, as we know, she won the Queen Mary here a couple of years ago. So she was a filly with an awful lot of speed. So, he can afford to sit out the back and sit and ride her with that turn of foot. And I thought, interestingly, after the race, Richard Brown said that when John Gosden first got her, because obviously she used to be trained in America, she'd come over after Watton had bought her, that she was showing no pace at all. And Richard was like, oh my God, well, if she's showing no pace, she must be useless. And John had turned around and said, well, no, we need to step her up to the mile. And I think fair play to him for doing so, because it's quite a brave decision to get a filly like that everyone thinks is an absolute speedball, but there's much more to her.
I noticed John was trying to thrust Thady into the interview after her, and he was giving him a lot of the credit.
He didn't fancy it, Thady, I don't think.
Nah, fair play.
Trying to. They've done enough this week, to be fair. I'm sure there will still be more to come, I'm hoping anyway, for them.
If my calculations are right, the Gosdens are now on top of the Trainers' Championship. And at the beginning of the season, people were saying, oh, are the winds changing? Is the power base shifting away? Is it all Balding, Beckett, Haggis? Not so. They're back, and back in a big way. Not that they were ever away.
No, and as you said, it is a bit of a surprise to some of us, but it probably shouldn't have been. Their horses, particularly now, are in incredible form. You always want them to peak on this week, and they certainly have. And they've got some really exciting prospects going forward in a lot of those divisions. I guess the only one that's probably lacking at the moment, and maybe we're lacking in general, is the 2-year-old division, which Aidan O'Brien just seems to be dominating right in those group races.
Yeah, he's got the early 2-year-olds, and he'll have a whole raft of the later 2-year-olds to come, but he's dominating the juvenile races here at Ascot so far this week. The Golstons might be brilliant at curating Group 1 winners, but curating your wardrobe is just as challenging for 5 days here at Royal Ascot. Not, however, if you are the official milliner to the Nick Luck Daily podcast. Lisa Tan, let's hear from her now.
We're here in Car Park 2 with Jess Stafford from Racing TV and also FanDuel. With your job, Jess, you've been around the world at all different races, so you know how it works.
Yeah.
And you also know what makes Royal Ascot special.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about it.
Well, what I've been saying to a good few people recently, especially for the American viewers I work for, that it's Downton Abbey meets Kentucky Derby. It is quintessentially Britain, but it meets the racing, fast-paced, excitement, competitiveness. But the elegance of Royal Ascot makes it so unique. And we put a lot of effort into our fashion, obviously, but we want to make it feel British. And I think that's what makes it that little bit different to any other race day.
Absolutely. So how do you approach dressing for Royal Ascot as opposed to something like the Breeders' Cup?
Yeah, really good question. I work every day at Royal Ascot, so 5 days, 5 outfits. And because I've been doing it a few years now, I know the pieces or the looks that I feel the most confident in. I always think you got to look good, feel good, be good when you're on TV.
And you also have to function as well, because you've got a job to do. You're not just there to
Yeah.
pretty and drink and socialise. You're on your feet all day.
Yeah, quite. But I don't like wearing flats because I like the elevation it gives me in my outfit. But I wear a midi heel. The one thing that TV people have to wear is a belt. So I'm always with the belt on because I have to put my camera pack behind my belt. So I've got to clip it on. But I like to accentuate the waist anyway. I also find with the sun that actually having a longer sleeve is good because the heat and potentially a bit of a burn is not always a good look. So I like little length, bit of height, come in at the waist, but comfortable. Got to be as comfortable as possible. And some of the brands I wear are normally comfort is key. And just, make sure that you stand out every day, maybe a different colour or a polka dot or a monochrome. Those are my staples.
Absolutely. Any favourite brands?
Well, I'm wearing Bula today, who I love, and Alessandra Rich is
Absolutely.
an absolute...
She's a race day favourite, isn't she?
She's a Kate Middleton kind of hero. Self-portrait as well.
Sure, another race day hero.
Another race day hero. But I think that like the Breeders' Cup and others, you can wear straps, like strappy tops. But
Yes.
I think that's the thing. It's looking elegant is so crucial to Royal Ascot. So I think that's the one thing that those brands do is that they have little details here and there that really pick up that kind of elegant vibe.
Talking about the dress code, best ways to adhere to the dress code?
Oh, best ways to adhere to the dress code. Always think about the length of your dress. Make sure that, I think some people like to try and get away with it, but in recent years, actually having a midi dress that's just above the ankle is really elegant.
It looks very chic, doesn't it?
Really chic. So don't be scared if you've never worn that type of thing before to think actually that could look quite nice, really. Just give it a go, push the boat out, and always try be a little bit risky because you're always going to be, complimented for giving it a go.
Absolutely. And lastly, a racing tip for the week.
A racing tip for the week. That's a very good question.
I believe your partner has a few horses running.
Yeah, we've got 4 over the next 2 days. I think Spinning Lizzie, she's going to go a bit under the radar. And actually talking of fashion, she's a really standout looking horse. And sometimes the horses don't get the credit that they should do for being glamorous themselves. She's a chestnut with 4 white socks and a white space. She's called Spinning Lizzie because she's named after owner Chris Stedman's dog, who's got the same chestnut and white features.
Oh, how gorgeous.
So they've got this gorgeous look, and she's a real queen, but she's going to be a big price in the Albany on Friday.
Good each way tip then.
I hope so.
Thank you so much, Jess, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Lucy. You look fab.
That was Lisa Tan out and about yesterday. More from Lisa in a few moments' time. One of the stories of yesterday was Johnson Haughton winning the Windsor Castle Stakes with Havana Hurricane, an incredibly cheap purchase. It was a terrific story. The owners had turned down tons of money for him, and he won really well, and he's got big aspirations. I wonder whether I might just be able to FaceTime Eve Johnson Haughton now. There's not many people you could do this to, and in video as well, but I'm going to give it a go. There's no way that we could do this podcast without talking to Eve Johnson Haughton after a famous and sort of multi-layered win in the Windsor Castle. How are you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling fine. I lost my voice a bit, but apart from that, I'm feeling great.
I think you're fully entitled to have lost your voice. Tell me why yesterday's win. I know you've had 2 Royal Ascot winners before. Why was yesterday's a bit different?
And first, my dad died in February, so it's the first one since he died, and it really felt really weird not being able to ring him and have a drink with him when I got home. It felt really weird, but he'd have been proud, so that was good.
And for those who don't remember, just the sheer magnitude of his career would have encompassed days like this so many times, and you must have very, very fond memories from when you were, well, pretty much from the time you were born, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he had, I think he had 10 Ascot winners, but that was in the days when Ascot was only 4 days and not so many races. Yeah, I really remember them very strongly. We had amazing horses then.
What would have been the one that really stuck in your mind, even if it's a distant one?
Probably Ildeborn. He won the King Edward. Was it the King Edward? I think, yeah. Yeah. And we won the Corcanori, which was now the Jubilee, with a filly called Posada. I remember that. And
there were some real blue bloods in the yard then, and you've done exceptionally with horses like Havana Hurricane. He doesn't look like he only cost less than 10 grand, does he?
No, but the mare hadn't done much, and Havana Gold obviously has unfortunately died, so there was no support from the stallions side either. So I mean, we were really lucky that we got him at a very good, very, very good price. And when I'd like to say, imagine what I can do when I get a really well-bred expensive horse.
Well, there you are. I would give you a platform to sell that any day of the week, Eve. You know that.
Thank you.
How high do you think he could fly? He's not just a Windsor Castle winner, is he, potentially?
No, I don't think so. I think, he's done nothing wrong at all, and he was very impressive, and if you look at his times, they're very, very fast. So I think we'll probably go to Morecambe, and then I'll have to enter him for the Nunthorpe, although I'm not sure that York will be his track, because he does take a bit of time to get going, I don't know, that sort of thing. That's where we are.
I love the idea of the Nunthorpe, though. He's got the heft, hasn't he, for a 2-year-old? He's got that kind of like Kingsgate Native had. He's got that power, strength.
Yeah. He's a big, strong horse. He really is. Unfortunately, Charlie wouldn't be able to do the weight. I think he'd have to chop a leg off.
Well, you might have a few. Well, I know there aren't going to be many volunteers, but you'd have a few, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyone who could do whatever it is now, 8 stone or whatever a 2-year-old carries in the Nunthorpe. 8'2", 2-year-old colt, yeah, 8'2". Now, the irony wasn't lost on anyone, of course, that you'd got engaged in a big debate about the future of the Windsor Castle last week, and then you went and won it, and then won it with a horse who would still have been eligible for the new race.
Well, that's the point. I'm not doing it from necessarily, everyone goes, oh, you're doing it from a personal standpoint. I'm not really doing it from a personal standpoint, because my horse would have been eligible for the new race. There's 11 entries for the Chesham on Saturday, and that's a restricted race. And it's a ridiculous thing to do in June. I fully understand why they're doing it, but they've got the wrong race. And there's it seems mad that the Windsor, so next year it'll probably be a 10-runner race. Rather than a 24-runner race. It's just mad.
Well, whatever it is, or whatever the race conditions, I wouldn't bet heavily against you turning up with one and winning it.
Well, we'll give it a go.
I know you will. Eve, are you back at Ascot today?
No, I'm having a day off today, but I'll be back tomorrow.
And you've got runners tomorrow?
Yeah, Betty Clover's running tomorrow.
And what do you think?
Well, her form was boosted yesterday with the win of the Duchess of Cambridge. That only beat her a nose at Goodwood. So she should be a group horse in the handicap, hopefully. Well,
there you are, and you're entitled to come in with confidence. Thank you for taking a video call this morning, the morning after. I think that's very game of you.
I'm sure I'm looking really beautiful, but there we go.
Always. Thank you so much, Eve. The tremendous Johnson Haughton. I mean, what a performance. She's done it not once, not twice, but 3 times at Ascot, twice in this race. And hat tip to Anthony Bromley, who bought the horse as well.
Yeah, they seem to just be able to do it time and time again. They find these bargain buys that, as Eve said, she's had a lot of success with Havana Gold in the past, but actually nobody wanted one at the sale. He'd died, and so there wasn't a huge amount of interest, but she's obviously liked him as a physical, and if you saw him in person, as you said, you wouldn't think he cost 10 grand. But they've got a real knack for it, and yeah, it was an emotional success, and it's always nice to have these stories running throughout the week.
Nunthorpe, I like that. I love a 2-year-old in the Nunthorpe that actually does have some sort of a chance. It is hard.
It is very hard, but there are, as we said, a few jockeys that might be able to do it. Ballydoyle, I'm sure, is be one of those that will be putting a hand up, and why not give it a go? There's not a huge amount of options for these 2-year-olds that are out and out 5 furlong horses. Once you've run in the Malcolm, then you've got something like the Flying Childers at the end of the season, but do you just give it a go, all in, go for the Nunthorpe? Eve says that York might not be his track, but it doesn't suit a lot of horses. Have you got anything to lose in giving it a go?
Well, that was day 2. Let's move on to day 3. Probably more success for the Goslings, I shouldn't wonder. I wonder if that's what they think in the trading room at Fitzdares. Here's Orlando.
Hi, Nick. Yep, today we're looking at the big race of the day, the Gold Cup, the race that marks exact halfway point through Royal Ascot. And the market's dominated by 2 trainers that know the race very well. We've got Aidan O'Brien and Jonathan Gosden. Between those 2, they've won the last 7. They've won 7 from the last 9 iterations of this race, so they're pretty familiar with how it goes. Top of the market, we've got Aidan O'Brien's Illinois 13-8, and then we've got Jonathan Gosden's Trawlerman at 11-4. Both looking pretty strong at the moment. Big bogeys for us at the moment. I know I said it yesterday, but we'll be cheering on the French Raider. That's Candelari for the Francis Graffard stable once again, to get us out of a bit of a hole with that one. Boosts wise, we are boosting Illinois to win by over a length, now 5-2. I believe it is 4 of the last 6 winners of this race have won by that margin and over. So we're taking on the lengths boost in that. Yeah, should be a good day. Thanks so much.
If you follow the odds as closely as the action, you'll want to check out Fitzdares World of Sport podcast. It's a weekly sports betting podcast, smart, sharp, and full of proper insight across football, golf, cricket, and plenty more. We're not chasing headlines, we're breaking down the markets and what the odds are really telling us. Sport seriously considered and seriously enjoyed. The Fitzdares World of Sport podcast. New episodes every week. Follow wherever you get your podcasts. 18 plus, gambleaware.org, and remember, please play responsibly.
Thank you, Orlando and the team at Fitzdares. Charlotte is still with me here in the pre-parading. My God, how hot do you think it's going to be today?
I'm a little bit worried, I have to say. I thought it was a nice temperature on Tuesday when we were recording. It was a little bit hotter yesterday.
You can feel it coming through your feet.
Already beginning to feel uncomfortable. I think we're in for an absolute scorcher.
So, some would say you've been feeling uncomfortable since the beginning of this episode, but
yeah, so true. Let's move on from that, or I'll start thinking about it.
No, don't. I think it's brilliant. Right, okay. Gold Cup. Suddenly, after the whole Gosden flurry, the momentum started to build behind the 7-year-old Trawlerman. Coolmore still believe they've got a potential star stayer in Illinois. Francis Graffard thinks he's got a right one in Candelari. What do you think?
Well, I think it's one of the most exciting Gold Cups that we've had in years because it is so open. It's really sad that we don't have Kyprios here. He was the star of this division and he was so loved by the fans and he was a massive draw for people. But actually, it's opened the race up now. We've got Trawlerman, who was one of the only horses to ever beat Kyprios. He likes it at Ascot. In fact, he loves it at Ascot. He pretty much always runs well here. We know he stays the trip, which has to be a massive question mark for Illinois. As impressive as he's looked, it was the Ormond Stakes, was it, at Chester last time for him, which I think is 1.5 miles. He's almost got another mile to go, and we know how well Aidan does in this race. So when he puts one up to us and says, "This is my Gold Cup horse," we probably should trust him. But I do think Trawlerman has been there and done it. And Francis Graffard's horse, he's an interesting one. I don't know a huge amount about him, but you were at Francis, so you'd probably have a bit more.
He's a proper unit. He is a proper unit. Whether the ground might be just a shade quick for him, he thinks he wants good ground. And you saw how well he stayed the Vicomtesse Vigier, and they've been planning this race, quite carefully. But he was quite a late starter. Whether he's quite ready for it, I don't know.
Yes, there's only one way to find out. There's one Ascot Gold Cup.
Well, and this is the one to find out in, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. How the race will be run, I would imagine that Trawlerman's going to go and sort of try and dictate the pace, and why not? He's so good from the front. William Buick's fantastic. I'm sure that's probably the way it'll plan out, and he'll just slowly wind it up. He knows he stays, so he's not going to sit there as a sitting duck and wait to be picked off. Albeit, I don't think Francis Graffard's horse is going to be a quick horse, but Illinois could have a turn of foot, and I think if you're William Buick, you'd want to be winding it up, and really testing Illinois' stamina.
Yeah, which is unusual, because of course normally you'd think Coolmore would be the ones wanting to wind it up and test everyone else's stamina, which, who knows, they may yet do. It's sort of not quite been the Ryan Moore domination that we've come to expect, but there are still 3 more days. He could still land up with 7 winners, couldn't he?
Easily. And they have taken the 2-year-old races, as we've sort of talked about, and they've got Charles Darwin, who's odds-on shot in the first today, so I would expect him to go in. But I'm sure that the Coolmore team would like to sort of bag one of these big ones for the week, and the Gold Cup, as we know, has always been important to them. It's a race that they love, a race they've had a huge amount of success in, and if he were to go in today, I think they'd have a big smile on their face. Yeah.
Which shade of blue will it be, I wonder, this afternoon in the Gold Cup, if either? Perhaps it might be a Philippa Cooper pink. That'd keep chappers happy. What were the key shades yesterday behind the grandstand? Find out now with Lisa.
She's arguably the busiest woman on course every Royal Ascot, and I'm thrilled to be able to pin down Rosie Tapner for a quick chat about fashion. Thank you for coming.
It's a pleasure. It's really lovely to be here, and as you said, it's always busy, but that's what we love about Royal Ascot, that it is busy, and you've got so many people here that are all your friends. It does feel like a bit of a party even though we're working.
Absolutely. The people that you run into here as well, I imagine you get stopped every 5 seconds.
You do get stopped every 5 seconds, but I love it. It's really nice to catch up with everyone as well. Sometimes I just go and sit in the press room just for a minute. But it's really, really good fun. It is good fun.
I want to go back a little bit to the Guineas meetings the last time that we spoke to each other.
Yes.
I remember you told me something crazy, like you had 40 outfits to prepare over the course of 2 months.
It was something, I think I've lost count now because we're in the middle of that, but I've got quite a busy schedule at the moment with racing with Royal Ascot, of course. We've got the July Festival coming up, we had the Derby, and then I work on the Longines Global Champions Tour, show jumping, so there's sort of 5 days each time with that. So the summer's busy, but it's really exciting to be busy, but yes, the outfit thing is exhausting. But I'm lucky to be supported by so many amazing people. So.
It's important to say as well that you don't have a stylist. You do everything yourself.
I do everything myself. I find everything myself, and I collect everything myself and drop everything off myself. So it's like a job, and it's a job.
It is a job in itself.
And you'll know this, being a milliner. I think it's really important, particularly for me, to get to know the people that are very kindly lending dresses and hats and making them for me. I don't like the idea of not having someone, I want that relationship,
a personal relationship. Yeah, which is really, really lovely, because we don't always have that with our clients. Sometimes it's posting out, posting back in, and you never see the person. So it's great to know who's actually wearing the clothes.
Yes, exactly. I think it's useful.
How far out from Royal Ascot do you start?
So I probably start chatting to people in March, just to get a feel for who's happy to lend and all of that sort of stuff. We tend to use roughly the same people now. I've kind of got into a nice groove of it. Susanna London's incredible. She often makes me things from scratch, which is very special. Lisa Redmond as well this year.
Yes, I'm wearing Lisa Redmond.
I've made one from, she's made one from scratch for me this year. This is an amazing Beulah London dress as well. Beautiful. And they're so supportive. So I'm very lucky to get to wear amazing ones. And my Saturday dress is Ridley London this year. So I'm very lucky to have lots to choose from.
And who's made your hat today?
This is a Rachel Trevor Morgan hat. It's a classic. She's so wonderful. She's actually done 3 of my hats this year. And I just trust her with everything. I never need to ask her what she's doing, and I just turn up and they're
It's nice to have that level of trust.
Oh, it's lovely. And it takes away from me, so it's perfect.
So you've had an extra challenge this year.
Yeah.
I believe you are 3.5 weeks pregnant?
3.5 months pregnant. Yeah.
Gosh, my weeks and months already. Yeah, Ascot's a long time.
Yeah, it is. I am 3.5 months pregnant as well.
How have you changed your preparation?
It's been I've been very lucky. I haven't felt sick. I haven't had any nausea, so I've been absolutely fine. It's just been, I've been quite tired.
Yeah.
But I've been very lucky, and my energy seems to have come back. I don't know if that's the adrenaline. But flats.
Flats are a necessity.
I start maybe an hour in the morning in my heels and my lovely Emmy Londons, and then Emmy has given me some gorgeous new flats, and that is now what I'm in. Yeah.
Perfect. I think that's a really wise decision, especially given how many steps you must do per day.
Quite a few steps.
Have you actually counted?
I counted one year, and I think it was between 20 to 30,000 in a day. But I also think flats are sensible for everyone, not just if you're pregnant.
That's true. And I'm standing in my heels and regretting every minute.
I don't know how you do it.
I sit a lot, to be fair. Thank you so much. And if there's one tip that you could give someone coming to Ascot who hasn't particularly been before, what would you give them?
Go to the parade ring, go to the pre-parade ring, get yourself involved with the horses and actually come and see the stars of the show up close, because when the first time I did that, and I've grown up with horses, I was shocked by just how athletic these horses are. So I definitely say that, and girls, bring your flats.
Bring the flats. You heard it here first.
The wonderful Lisa Tan. We'll hear from Lisa again in a few moments' time. But this is an important day for charities across the UK, because the Britannia Handicap has been raising money for them since COVID. It's an initiative from the Betting and Gaming Council. And to tell us more, here's their Chief Executive, Grainne Hurst.
Hi Nick. One of the highlights for me, for the BGC, and also for our members of Royal Ascot has to be the Britannia Stakes. Because for the last 6 years, BGC members have donated every single penny of profit from the race to a number of amazing charitable causes. The initiative has been running since 2020, and I'm incredibly proud to say that we have raised over £3 million for a range of charities working in sectors such as health, education, sports, and also veterans welfare. And the charities that we're going to be supporting this year are Prostate Cancer UK, Missing People, Greenhouse Sports, the SAS Regimental Association, Ascot Racecourse Supports, Racing to School, and Tempus Novo. These charities do a fantastic work across the UK, and obviously we are hoping that an outsider wins so that more money goes to these amazing charities. But even if the favourite does win, BGC members have agreed that they will donate a minimum of £200,000 split between these charities. So if your listeners would like to have a bet on the Britannia Stakes and join in our charity event, it's probably only fair that I tell them where they can do that. So here we go. You can place your bet at Paddy Power, Betfair, Sky Bet, Ladbrokes, Coral, William Hill, 888, Unibet, Betway, Grosvenor Sport, Virgin Bet, Star Sports, Quinn Bet, The Tote, and Bet with Ascot. And win or lose, the charities are guaranteed to win big this year. So Nick, best of luck to you and all your listeners for a fun and successful rest of Royal Ascot Week.
Grainne Hurst from the BGC, profits from the Britannia going to charitable causes, both within racing and outside. Charlotte, what we really want to raise as much money as possible for the BGC good causes is like a 50 to 1 shot to beat a 66 to 1 shot and a 100 to 1 shot. It hasn't happened in recent years. Go on, what do we think?
I mean, I am world's worst tipster, so if anybody's listening to this, whatever I back, stay well away from it. But I thought Roger Varian landed the big handicap yesterday. He's got Taroom in here, who's won his last 3. He's improving, he looks a tough sort. And
did he tip him on the preview night?
Did he?
I think he gave him a shout.
Well, I'm even more confident now. Okay. So I am going to go with him. He's not a huge price. He's about 9 to 1. And I just said to you, actually, that Hawksbill, one of Hugo Palmer's runners, is 40s. And he potentially, the race didn't run to suit him last time. And there could still be a little bit of room off his mark. But yeah. You are looking in which direction?
I like Rafed.
The favourite at 5 to 1.
Yeah, all right.
When we say we're trying to look for a 100 to 1 shot to win this, and you've picked the other end of the scale.
I like Rafed for William Haggis. A horse was big as a bull when he made his seasonal debut at Newmarket, ran a really nice race, came out, Julie did his thing next time, but the race has worked out so well that actually marking 92 doesn't seem to flatter him. I think he's played this brilliantly, because he's run him in a race that's sort of not good enough to get him a massive handicap mark, but you've still got to be rated high enough to get in. So he's just judged it to perfection, I think.
Well, we'll find out this afternoon. But it's a lottery, this race, but it is exciting, and it's always a bit of fun. And you can back that horse at 80 to 1 and genuinely be in with a shout. I think just looking at the betting, the main horses do look to be drawn high, so if that's how it's going to play out, then the sort of fancied horses are going to be over there. Maybe that's something to look at.
Sun beating down hard here at Ascot, and we're going to head out for the final time and join Lisa.
One race left to run at Royal Ascot Day 2, and it's time for us to do a fashion wrap with Angela Menz from On Track On Trend. Angela, what have you seen today?
Well, it's been a bit of a mixed bag, but I think there's one word that definitely sums up today, and that's pretty. I think there's a lot of really pretty outfits, a lot of really feminine, not too over the top, a little bit of understated sort of outfits, but really pretty outfits. So lace, soft fabrics, big brims, which I think is definitely...
It's the order of the day because it's noticeably hotter today than it was yesterday, and it's only going to get hotter still. What's your advice for people coming to the races in the next few days?
Well, I would say you should definitely think about wearing a big brim. I'm ill-prepared for the weather. I've got a little bit of a sunburn on my shoulders, but, you've just got to keep rolling with it. But definitely, I think taking some sensible shoes has been the lifesaver.
If you pan down, you'll see that I am the only one left standing in heels, and that might make me a fool. But Angela has swapped to the flats. Lovely flats they are. Yeah. But I will say that this heat is definitely causing some issues overall in the fashion stakes.
A lot of calls for plasters everywhere. So I say mind your feet in the heat.
And Sarah's tip yesterday about talcum powder is probably a great one as well. So
yes.
Excellent. What do you expect to see tomorrow? Ladies' Day? Well, Gold Cup Day, but colloquially known as Ladies' Day.
I think we'll really see the fashion shine. So whereas today was a bit more understated and a little bit more pared back, I think we'll really see the ladies bringing their best. So I expect a lot of pink, a lot of florals, bigger hats, bolder outfits. So, but we shall see.
Lisa Tan, wonderful work over the last couple of days, and she'll be back for more for the rest of the week. Thank you for doing this.
It was a pleasure to join you, Nick. I've been excited about this all of 10 minutes before we started recording. So, yes, I think somehow we've pulled something off. How it's come together, I'm not quite sure.
You're more than up to the task. It's been a big team effort, this podcast this week, for sure, with Luca and Josh as well. Right, you chastised me yesterday.
I did. I realised I feel bad because after we finished filming and I watched it back, I think I watched it back 3 times. I did enjoy yesterday's. It was very entertaining. But we didn't give a mention to Jim Goldie, who had his first Ascot winner and his first Group 1 winner. And I think that's sort of a real jewel in his crown, that victory.
Yeah, and it's amazing, really. That not much pedigree, and Jim's trained quite a lot of the family. And it struck me that he actually trained the dam sire, Orientor. Who you definitely won't remember, but a lot of people will. Yeah,
and the sire being Washington, D.C., who, let's say, has not been particularly popular in the sales ring, and all this chat. I was talking with a few friends after the race in the sort of bloodstock world, and we were saying, all this chat that all we want at the moment is to breed fast horses, and actually the quickest horse of the week is by a stallion that nobody particularly wanted. Had it gone through the sales ring, wouldn't have made an awful lot of money, and we've been trying so hard to breed top horses in that sphere, and
we're not very good at it.
It's not working, is it?
No. So actually, maybe when the Havana Golds of this world do, I don't know. Let's not go down this rabbit hole again.
I'll leave that for Lydia to pick up whenever she's next on the podcast.
Or one for the car park.
Nothing sensible is going to be said at that point.
Nothing sensible is said in there. Brilliant for Jim Goldie. The survey is up. So if you want to tell us what you'd like to see or hear more of on this podcast, you can do so. It is in the link in the bio on our Instagram page, Nick Luck Daily, and all our social feeds. I'm getting eyes looking at me from everywhere, just making sure that's right. Yes, it's right.
And we'll put the link out on Twitter as well, and it'll be in all the descriptions for whether you're watching it on YouTube or SoundCloud or Apple, wherever it is. There'll be a link there as well. It's just useful for us to actually get a bit of feedback. Podcast has been going, is it 5 years now?
Nearly 5 years.
Nearly 5 years. Okay, so I've done nearly 4 years.
July 1st, 2020. That's the second time you've
no, it's just mentioned, I said to you.
Mentioned how long it's been.
I've been thinking about it for a while, and so it's the first time we've asked for feedback.
There'll be an advert in the paper next week. Don't worry.
New job, anybody? But yes, so it would just be nice to hear what people think and get a few of their ideas. We've already had a few coming in. I like how you didn't break it to Matt Chapman yesterday, that actually we have had multiple people asking for more of him.
No, spare me, please. Yes, but to answer your question, Lydia is going to give you her top 5 Royal Ascot moments on Saturday's podcast. So I'm looking forward to them. They don't have to be wins or whatever. I wonder if that Windsor Castle win will be amongst them.
I know. Well,
Could be.
We'll have to tease that out for possibly.
All right. Today, then, have you got something to send us away with?
I am. It's not very exciting, but I am all behind Trawlerman in the Gold Cup. I'm hoping he gets his big day in the sun. It certainly will be sunny. It'll be hot, but I think he is best equipped to win this year's Ascot Gold Cup, and William Buick is going to be back in that winner's enclosure, and maybe we'll get another big celebration.
I don't know about you, but there's just the faintest bead of perspiration already starting, and it's not even 9 o'clock. This is Gold Cup Day.
Hang on. We haven't had your big tip of the day.
Well, you don't need a big. Do you need a big tip of the day?
Tip of the year.
Oh, tip of the century.
Yeah.
This is my tip of the century. Rafed in the Britannia. There you go. Favourite.
Oh, I can't wait to watch that.
Haggis has absolutely nailed this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now say it like you mean it.
I can't wait to do another one.
Excellent.
I will. Wait another year.
You heard it here first, and you saw Charlotte here first as well. More importantly, we're off. We're done. Back for day 4 tomorrow. Same time, same place. Don't miss it. You've been listening to Nick Luck Daily. This episode has been brought to you in association with Timeform, your trusted source for racing data and analysis, by Total Performance Data, the world leader in thoroughbred performance technology, and by Fitzdares.